Hi guys, welcome back. I've been wanting to show you guys the house when it's all complete, but I've realized that furnishing and decorating the house is going to be a slow process. That's due to budget and time constraints. Furniture, decoration, even second-hand is not that cheap in Japan. But there are some advantages to doing it slowly, as while we're living here we can see how we use the space before furnishing. For example, as I'll show you later, the sofa that we got is very different from the sofa that I had imagined at the beginning. As a result, I'll show you guys bit by bit the furnishing and decoration process as we go along. If you remember in a recent video, I finished plastering the walls so we could finally use the mezzanine or loft. Mezzanine loft, I never know what to call this space. At this stage our bedroom wasn't ready. The washitsu was where we were sleeping and we didn't have a sofa in the living room. So it was a real relief to get a place where we could relax separate from the main living areas. It felt like the house had grown bigger. Because of the low beams, I'd always pictured a nook with low chairs or bean bags. In the end we decided to get the Muji bean bags. We chose navy as I think it goes well with the white walls and the natural wood. I want this area to be a bit cozier, so I'm planning to build low shelves along the wall here and a higher shelf along the back, which will also hide the breaker box. There aren't many things that I'd do differently if I had my time all over again, but one thing I perhaps would have changed is making this window a bit wider to give a more panoramic view. It would have been possible given the location of the posts. Maybe one day. The Muji beanbags are cheaper in Japan than overseas I think, but still pretty expensive for cat beds. We had some guests staying with us, so we wanted to get this room ready for them to sleep in. At this stage the kids' bedrooms were already finished, and though our bedroom was still not done, we were able to sleep in there. We moved this big wooden table into the living room while we tidied the washitsu up. By the way, the last time I showed you this, a few people asked what the writing was on the bottom of the table. That's the names of the contractors who built this house. It was probably a present for the owner. The table is really heavy, solid keyaki wood, and must be over 50 kilograms. This scroll is called a kakejiku. A kakejiku is used for decoration, to display art and calligraphy, and is meant to be changed periodically. This kakejiku was given to us by our architect. This alcove here is called a tokonoma and is usually used to display works of art. We finished decorating with some pottery on a wooden board that my mother-in-law had. We also put in a light above, which gives a nice effect at night. We finally ordered a sofa and rug so we could move the table back to the washitsu, as we no longer needed to sleep in there. My wife made these pads to replace the old floor protectors. When we were planning this renovation and this living room, I had originally imagined that we would get a wooden sofa with a nice back, as it would be visible in the centre of the room. But that was going to be expensive. Solid wood sofas are not cheap. But as we lived in the house and used the room, our idea changed. It might seem obvious, as this was originally a tatami room, but the room is a 360-degree room. While the stove and to a lesser extent the TV are centerpieces, the engawa and the light that comes from there is also a feature. So a high-backed wooden sofa would sort of block off the engawa. We did consider not having a sofa at all and having a nice rug on which to lie on in front of the stove or watch TV. Then we thought about getting a sofa bench. But I found this sofa online and thought it would be perfect, as it had no armrest on one side, so it was open towards the kitchen, while also had an opening facing the engawa. The low back is surprisingly comfortable and it's quite deep, so great for lying on, as my wife likes to fall asleep during movies. I don't think she's ever made it through one. I wanted to put a lot more plants in the house, and I started with this aspidistra, which I didn't know was a native plant to Japan, and I think at some point I'll add a small armchair and a side table. We don't want a coffee table, as we want the space on the rug in front of the sofa to lie down on in front of the stove. Plus, whenever we have a coffee table, it usually ends up just being piled up with stuff. It's definitely nice to have a few different living spaces to use, but there's still a lot to be done. I need to make the dining table, also need to make a TV stand and various other bits and pieces. But I've mostly finished the main bedroom. I still just need to do a little bit of decorating and furnishing, but that's for another video. Thanks for watching till the end. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time. What's the matter?